Red Riding Hood radio plays. Setting: mother's house, tiny, neat house with candlelit lighting, woods, birds singing, sunny, grandma's house. Okay, and go.
Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl who was loved by everybody who looked at her, but most of all, by her grandmother. There was nothing that her grandmother would not have given to that child. Once, she gave her a little red cape of red velvet, which suited her so well she wouldn't wear anything else. Thus, she got the name Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her,
Come here, Little Red Riding Hood. Here's a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take it to your grandmother, for she is ill and weak, and they will do her good. Set out before it gets hot, and when you're going, walk nicely and quietly, and do not run off the path, or you may fall and break the bottle, and then your grandmother will get nothing. And when you're going into her room, don't forget to say good morning.
I will be careful and deliver these treats to grandmother.
And so Little Red Riding Hood set off, skipping on her way along. Her grandmother lived out in the woods, about half a mile from the village. Little Red Riding Hood had entered the woods, but little did she know she was being watched. For off in the distance, the evil wolf saw Little Red Riding Hood with her basket. He took a big sniff and smelled the delicious goodies. The wolf didn't just want what was in the basket, though. Oh no, he wanted more. So the clever wolf went to see what she was doing. She jumped backwards as the wolf approached her. Little Red Riding Hood did not know how wicked this creature was, so she was not afraid of him.
Good day, Little Red Riding Hood, a well-known little girl by the kind gesture she does in town.
Why, thank you kindly, Wolf.
Where are you off to this early in the day, Little Red Riding Hood?
To my grandmother's.
What have you got in your basket, might I ask?
Cake and a bottle of wine. Yesterday was baking day. My poor grandmother is sick, so I'm going to see her. Mother has been worried.
I'm sure I can take you there, as I know these woods the best.
The wolf lightly lashed his tail with a mysterious smile.
Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?
A good quarter of a mile further into the woods. Her house stands under the 3 large oak trees. You surely must know it.
Yes, I know. Please, let me escort you part of the way. It would be rather rude not to.
The wolf thought to himself,
What a tender young creature. A nice, delicious mouthful. She will be better to eat than an old woman. I must act crafty so I can catch them both.
And so the wolf walked for a short time by Little Red Riding Hood's side. After a while, the wolf spoke.
See, Little Red Riding Hood? Look how pretty the flowers are around here. Why not take a look around? I believe you do not hear how sweetly the birds are singing. You walk as if you were going to school, while everything else in the woods is merry and carefree.
And so Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes, looking at the pretty sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees, and the pretty flowers glowing everywhere. She thought, suppose I take grandmother a fresh flower, that would please her too. And so she ran from the path into the woods, deeper and deeper, to look for the most beautiful of flowers. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to grandmother's house and knocked on the door.
Who's there?
Little Red Riding Hood, Granny. I've got cake and wine. Open the door. Open the door.
Open the curtain to let some light in. I've fallen and can't seem to get up.
The wolf sprang to the curtain and opened, and without a word, ran straight to grandmother and devoured her whole. Then he put on her clothes and laid himself in the bed.
Ah, yes, this will go smoothly if I can pull this off. There's nothing wrong about tricking my food, as it would be rather rude to eat them without warning. It's their fault for not being clever enough.
Hello, Grandma?
Hello, Little Red Riding Hood. How are you?
Oh, that was...
Oh, how are you?
Oh, I'm very ill.
As Little Red Riding Hood shut the door behind her, she approached her grandmother to give her a hug, only to realize certain aspects weren't quite right.
Grandmother, what great arms you've got.
The better to hug you with, my dear.
What great legs you've got.
The better to run, my child.
What big eyes you've got.
All the better to see your beauty.
Grandma, what big ears you've got.
Oh, so I can hear your voice.
What big teeth you have.
The better to eat you with.
As these words were spoken, the wicked wolf jumped upon the Little Red Riding Hood. They wrestled each other in the cottage till Red Riding Hood couldn't fight anymore. Just as Little Red Riding Hood was going to give up and accept her fate, she awakens from her terrible nightmare. Unsure of what to make of the dream she had, but all the same, her mother called to her.
Come here, Little Red Riding Hood. Here's a piece of cake and a bottle of wine.
Knowing that her dream was in fact not that, but a premonition, as the rest of her mother's conversation played out to the note, she was set on her way all the same, but now she was prepared. She entered the woods to grandmother's house all the same, but now with the knowledge of her fate, she was prepared to deal with the wolf, once and for all. Knowing that her attacker was right behind her, she took the knife for the cake from the basket, and with a flurry of slashes, she slayed the wolf. And they all live happily ever after. Now go to bed.
You're listening to Little Red Riding Hood, the radio play, featuring the narrator, played by Christian Kabula, the mother, played by Stephanie Colin, the wolf, played by Ryan Gosling, and the grandma, played by Kai Simpson.